Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, hello, my name is Chance3005, and I do top lane League of Legends educational content. This is going to be my 5 tips to help you reach Emerald. This is my first more structured guide style video compared to my usual voiceover commentaries, so if you like it, it did take way more effort than my usual videos, so if you could smash that like and subscribe button, that'd be amazing. Now this video is tailored more towards people that are plat and below, but if you are Emerald or higher, and want to leave your feedback, whether you disagree with something or you want to emphasize a point, that'd be welcomed as well. And with that, let's get into the video. Okay, a little bit of background on me before we get into the tips. I was a top 500 Overwatch player for 6 years, so like the entirety of Overwatch 1 as a game. I was the captain of my university's esports program. While I was in university, we hit rank 3. A lot of fun. If your school has an esports program, highly recommend you join. That's some of my best memories from college are with my teammates, both playing Overwatch, going to LAN events, as well as just having friends that I still have to this day, so highly recommend it. Didn't like the direction Overwatch went, so I switched to League. I was playing it as my main game, but I was taking it like super seriously for about late 2022 to the start of 2024. 2024 I started to take it seriously. Found top lane was the role that I enjoyed the most and wanted to spend my time learning. And so over the past year I've climbed from about Silver all the way up to Emerald now. I just want to share some of these tips that I learned along the way. Okay, so tip number 1 for you guys is pick a small champion pool. This was hard for me just because coming from an Overwatch background, I could play every tank and every support at a top 500 level. I loved picking multiple heroes throughout games. When I came to League, there's so many fun and well-designed champions. There's at least like 25 top laners I enjoy playing. That's just top lane. I enjoy a lot of other roles too for fun, but like you want to settle down on your a champ pool of like about 2 to 3 as your main champs. Just because champion mastery in this game is so important. Knowing your reference points, knowing your trade patterns, knowing your champ's identity, and how to play team fights in the late game, is just so valuable. Because if you're played against your hardest counter 100 times, and someone picks that counter and they first time that champion just because it is a counter to you, they may get a small lead. Chances are they won't because they're first time a champion. But if they do get a small lead in you, they're not going to translate that lead into a victory, and then that gives you a window to come back in because you know what you're doing on that champion, and you'll get some wins out of that. And then also because this video is for people in the lower elos, I wanted to give some advice on selecting your champion pool. Oops, wrong way to move the slide. There we go. So 2 to 3 champs is ideal. You want to have them have similar playstyles if you can. Like you don't want a champ pool of like Ornn, Darius, and like Kennen. You don't want like a sit back tank, aggressive lane bully, and like a Rainham. There are 3 different playstyles. It's gonna be way too hard to learn the different playstyles. You want something that's more in line, like say you like playing Snowball Champion, so you pick like Renekton, Darius, and like Olaf. That way you have like the same reference points and trading patterns, at least similar ones, and you kind of know what you're playing for, so you want to snowball. Or if you want to play like slower scaling champions like Nasus, Mundo, Kayle, stuff like that, they have similar identities. They obviously play out a little differently, but just having the similar playstyles will help you learn the game faster. And then if you want, if you want to play a wider range of champions, it is okay to have like a 1 to 2 niche counter picks that you only pull out in certain matchups. I know for me, I used to have Urgot be my counter to Riven. I know that's like a really hard counter. Or I've played a lot of Garen in the past, so if I go up against the Jax, I'll pull out Garen into that matchup. But beyond like a few niche counter picks where I only played into that one champion, I try to stick to my pool. The other thing about these little niche counter picks, they should be easy to execute champions. You shouldn't have like a counter pick like, oh, they picked, I don't know, Ornn, I'm gonna go Fiora because she kills tanks easily. Like you want that champion to have some sort of ease of execution because you're not going to be perfect mechanically just because you don't play them that often. And I also just wanted to mention, just because top lane is the most snowball heavy lane, because having it usually be melee versus melee, it's the most punishing, that if you don't know your champion master, you fall behind. That's more of a likelihood that lead's going to snowball and you're just going to get steamrolled. So yeah, that's the last reason to have that small champion pool. Okay, so my second tip for you guys is going to be learn to play out your first 4 waves. There's going to be a lot of games where the first 4 waves are going to be the most 4 important waves of the game, and it's going to determine how the rest of your laning plays out more times than you would think. So you want to have a game plan when you load into each of your games. It goes beyond which champion's stronger at level 1. Because like there's gonna be the obvious cases where like it's on Darius into like a Mundo. Darius is obviously stronger level 1, pretty much no matter what happens. But there's gonna be most matchups you're playing a champion where you could probably fight for level 1. You're probably relatively even. And it just comes down to what runes you're running or what summoner spells you're taking. So if someone's running Conquer or Lethal Tempo, they're going to be way stronger in an extended fight early versus somebody who's running Grass, for example. Or if they have Ignite and you have Teleport, you don't want to get too low without them using their Ignite because they're going to have easier time finishing you off. But if you're the one that has Ignite and they have Teleport, you don't want to have the wave be in a bad spot where you're both low, but like they're crashing the wave under your tower, and they can just base, get their health back, teleport back, and now you're lane locked. So you don't want to be stuck in those situations. You want to have a plan for how that first rise is going to go. The other things to just consider: starting item. If someone's running Doran's Blade versus Doran's Shield, Doran's Shield's obviously going to be better in these trades because they're going to heal up between each trade, while Doran's Blade, you're going to want these extended fights. My advice for this is if you think you're going to be the one that's going to be able to contest priority and like in these early laning phases, Blade is better. But if you think you're gonna have to sit back and just take small trades, not really go for all-ins, you just want to poke them down and then you can maybe go for a heal, that's when Doran's Shield is better. Or if it's obviously like a ranged matchup in your melee, always take Shield. And then lastly, just pay attention to where both junglers are starting. In the low elos, it's very common for both junglers to start bot and go top. So around like 330, the junglers are going to be looking to gank whoever's shoved up too far. But if someone on your team can get a ward down to see where the enemy's starting, even if you ward like their top side and you don't see them, that means you know they're coming up to gank, or not to gank you, but to clear their from bot to top, and they'll be there around the 330 timer. Or also, who's like, because you're obviously going to think who's stronger in your 1v1, but you also should consider the strength of the junglers in the early game and who would win like a 2v2, because you might be a little bit stronger than your lane opponent in the 1v1, but if they have a J4 or an Elise or some early game ganking jungler, and you have like a Karthus or an Evelynn who doesn't not want to gank early and is just terrible at it, you may have to be more respectful on the timers when they're both clearing top to bot, because you would lose the 2v2 early. So those are just things to consider. I know it's a lot to just say over some PowerPoint slides. So if you guys want me to make a follow-up video explaining this in more depth, please let me know down below. I'd happily do that for you guys. And then the last thing I'll say is pretty much if you can, like if your opponent's like AFK or they're like leashing for the jungler, which I don't know who leashes in season 15, but they might be leashing for the jungler still, always get prio if you can. There's like, I'd say there's like 1 in 99 games where you're not going to want to take the prio if it's given to you. So especially in the ranged matchups, get that priority because it's going to tie into my next tip as well, which was like level of timers. You get that push, they're going to have to respect the waves, and because waves do a lot of damage in the early game. So if you can always get priority, you're going to get that first push. You can crash like the 3rd or 4th wave. That's the whole timer where they had to play respectful because you had the bigger wave, and that you're most likely the weaker champion in those early games fights. Gives you more time where they can't harass you in the early game. Gives you more time to scale up to when you're actually stronger. So if you can get priority because it's just given to you, pretty much always take it. I would say in this elo, don't worry about that 1% where like you shouldn't get priority. So my third tip for you guys is going to be level up timers. This does kind of tie into the first 4 waves, and I briefly mentioned it there, but I wanted to give it its own tip just because it's so important, so underrated, and it just can instantly win or lose a lane for you if either you or your opponent doesn't respect the other person's level up timers. So for those of you who don't know what is a level up timer, it's basically like knowing like what minion is going to get you from level 1 to level 2 or 2 to 3 or whatever. And when you get that level up, a lot of people think you just get, oh, I went from 1 to 2, I get an extra ability, or I went from like 3 to 4, I got a 2nd point in my queue or something like that. Not only do you get that extra ability or extra level up on your ability, or extra ability or an extra level up on that ability, but you also get about 600 gold worth of stats. That's going to be like a mix of health, armor, MR, attack damage. I don't think you get AP if you're an AP champion, but like you get about 600 gold worth of stats just instantly by leveling up. Plus you get, if like level 2, level 3, and level 6 are like the 3 biggest level up timers, because you also get an extra ability that your opponent will not have if you get that level up timer first. So this is the big reason why you want to plan your first waves, and if you can, always get push, because if you're the one getting that level 1 push, when you hit level 2, you can look to be super aggressive, because 99% of matchups, if you're level 2 and they're level 1, or you're level 3 and they're level 2, you're just going to flat out win because you have more stats in the early game. That 600 gold worth of stats you get is so much more valuable in these first early levels. Still important later in the game, but just having those extra stats is just super, super valuable. I want to give you guys a list of what some of the timers are, just because knowing them is very important. So on level 2, it's going to be the first wave plus a melee. I say first wave just because it's easiest, but there are a few different ways you can get level 2 actually. You can get your first wave minus a caster, so 3 melees, 2 casters, and then that first melee of the third wave. You don't technically need the third caster. Another way you can do it is if you get like a level 1 invade and you get a kill or an assist, you don't need that 6th melee. You just need the entire first wave, 3 casters, 3 melees, and you'll get level 2 off that. So in those niche cases, you can surprise your opponent because maybe they don't know that. Level 3 is going to be your first 2 waves plus 2 melees. Level 4 is going to be the first 3 waves. Why is there a fly in my face? Oh, sorry about that. First 3 waves, 3 melees, a cannon, and a caster. I know that one's a lot. They changed, that's still the same as it was Season 14, just the cannons moved back a wave, so now it's in the 4th wave. But it's still the same amount of total minions. So the way you kind of know that is just, get out of here, fly. There's just 2 casters left. And then, I don't know the level 5 one off the top of my head, but usually I can tell that one just because I can sense it's getting close. But level 6 is the other really big one. If you don't miss it, if you never backed, you never missed, or you backed and TP'd, and you never missed a single bit of EXP, that lane, or that wave that arrives to the lane at 5 minutes, so probably kill around like 5:15 or so, that wave will give you your level 6, so you get your ultimate. And that one's lesser known by a lot of people, so you can surprise your opponents with that one quite often. Or like if you didn't get it on that timer, you know you missed at least 1 EXP worth of minions. So those are the key level up timers I want you to know. But let me talk about ways you can like use your level up timers to gain leads. So I play a lot of Jax. He's my main champion. He is great at abusing level up timers. A lot of champions that have mobility in their kit are just phenomenal ones at abusing these timers because you can use, usually that second ability is going to be your gap closer, or you have one and you can have that, so you can punish them for being too close on your level up timer. But anyway, so like what Jax likes to do, he's strong level 1 because he has E, he can AoE the wave, kill it faster, as well as take some good trades. So he'll usually get push level 1 when that he kills that first melee, the second wave gets his level 2 timer. He now has his Q. He can jump on your face and then press E so you can't even retaliate, take a massive trade. So many lanes are just won because now they're probably a little bit half HP if they took a decent trade, or they're like quarter HP under their tower. I'm still like 3/4 my HP at worst. Like you take an amazing trade and now they have to just sit back under their tower and wait for you to crash it. If they ever step up, like you can just jump on their head. And even if you're both level 2 at this point, like you took such a good trade because of the level timer, you can just punish them for being anywhere near the wave. Same with level 3. It's going to be like those second wave plus the 2 melees. If you're doing a really slow push level 1, it's kind of harder now with the way the new minions are. But if you're doing a third wave crash, you can get that level 3 just to force the crash. So some champions are really good at like holding the wave just outside of their tower. If you get that level 3 first, you can just brute force that tower to crash, or the wave to crash, which is really nice. Or if you do a 2-wave crash, you gotta know now your opponent has the wave pushing in their favor, so they're gonna get level 3 before you, and you have to play respectful of that timer. The most common time, if you get push level 1, the most common timer to be respectful on is they're getting level 4. That's why you see a lot of high elo people like thinning waves and stuff, so that way the wave doesn't get too big. And plus, they're closer to that level up timer, so they can maybe contest a little better. Like if they have like 1 or 2 more minions, so it's like a slow push into them, they only need 1 or 2 minions to die, not like 7, and they're just like have to play respectful of like the entire slow push. So level up timers, insane way to get trades, get good advantages. And then the last tip that I just want to make sure I explicitly say, because I think I implied it but I didn't actually say it, is you want to sync your level up timers with the cooldowns of your abilities. So, and going back to that Jax example from level 1 to 2. Ideally, you want to have your E like off cooldown ready to go when you hit that level 2, so you can instantly get the level 2, Q onto their face, and you have E ready to go. You can probably still win the trade in most matchups if your E's down, but if you have the E, like, you're just going to absolutely stomp the trade. It's going to be phenomenal. Versus opposed, you have the more stats, but you're not going to take as good of a trade. So knowing these timers is really good, and you also have to play respectful of the timers. Like I said, that's why I mentioned get push into range matchups in the my first 4 waves thing, because if you have that extra ability, if you're playing a champ that has like mobility, now you have a way to dash onto these range matchups, and they probably don't have their escape ability yet. So you can punish them there, take a really good trade into range matchups. Making it volatile early is really, really good for the melee champion more often than not. So you can just get these advantages early and snowball your lead through that. Because if you get a kill off of a level up timer, you're probably going to be able to crash the wave now. So you're going to kill them, get a lot of XP for the solo kill, crash the wave, they're going to miss all that XP, and your lane's pretty much won from that point. Okay, so my 4th tip for you guys is going to be base timings. Another very underrated fundamental in my opinion, and I've won lots of games because my opponents like clearly missed their base timer. They overstayed on the map. I kill them, they miss so much that they're just out of the game and they can't get back into it. So the key thing to know here for when you're setting up your base timing is you want to slow push 2 or more waves together, crash them into the tower. Hopefully it's cleanly where like all the minions are hitting the tower and not like the next wave of arriving minions. And when you do this, one of 2 things is going to happen. If they are able to either clear the wave under their tower, or the tower clears them all really fast before their next wave arrives, what's going to happen is both waves are going to be in the middle, kind of like they do at level 1. And so, like, it just resets the lane. If they have to reset themselves now, they're probably going to miss out on a couple of those minions dying while you're back in time. The second thing that's going to happen is, and it's usually the more likely case, where, especially if you cast like a really big wave, their next wave is going to arrive before their tower is done killing the wave. So it's going to help kill the last few minions, and then once those are dead, they're going to shove out into the lane. And what's going to happen is the wave's going to meet up slightly on their side of the lane, but that's not bad. That's not a bad thing, because now the wave's slow pushing into you. Because when that wave after that arrives, it's going to arrive for them a little faster, just because of where the wave is. It's going to build up a slow push into you. And while you're gone on your reset, you may miss 2 or 3 minions, but that's not a bad thing. Waves pushing into you, you're never going to be forced to walk up for last hits, because again, the wave's coming towards you. And once they eventually crash it, they're probably going to set up their own reset. They're going to miss some of those same minions back when it goes the other way. So it's probably net neutral, or more often than not, though, it's going to be probably a slight advantage for you, like 1 or 2 minions. Another really cool base timer that can actually win you games, though, is if you're running teleport and they're running ignite. I like to do this when I play Garen's as Jax, because it's a pretty hard to counter, but they always run ignite. Garen is weaker in the early game. Jax is pretty strong, level 1 to 3. I like to crash wave 4, take some heavy trades for both at half HP, crash like wave 4 into their tower, maybe crash 2, do it again, crash wave 4. So I get that 4th wave crash. He's about half HP. I'm sitting on like 500-600 gold. I can base, TP back to lane, have like a 2 longswords or a longsword dagger, because like I said, I only have 600. And now he's half HP, and I can fight him, and he's lane locked. He can't base, or he's gonna miss way too much. And so that's when I can actually like build a lead on him. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. But some more examples of what people do to actually lose the lane, though, by missing their base timings, is I see a lot of lower elo people get tricked out by, or not tricked out, but like tempted by their Demolish procs. I have a friend who's, when we play, he likes to play top lane too, so I let him play top. I play something else because it's norms. And he loves to stay for his Demolish procs. Like, if they crash the wave under you, base, and then you shove the wave back into them, get it to crash yourself, he's going to stay for that Demolish proc. But like, more often than not, they're going to be in lane like by the time you're getting your Demolish proc. So they're not missing EXP for sure. They may miss like a last hit of CS, but they're getting the XP, which is the important part. And you get a Demolish proc. Well, now he has to go set up his recall. Hope it doesn't get canceled by the laner. Say it doesn't. He's walking back to lane. That gives their laner time to quickly crash the wave again, he can retaliate and get his own demolish proc. Because I think it takes like 30 seconds to recall, maybe a little less, but it's about 30 seconds on average to like get a recall and walk back to lane. So you're gonna miss that entire wave because it's crashing. He's gonna his own plate, and so you're like, yeah, I got a plate, but no, he got a plate, and you missed like 6 minions, so he ends up winning that trade. So that's not good for you. So don't get tempted by demolish procs. If you need to base, take your base. The time you really want to stay for those demolish procs is like if you have teleport, and you're okay to use it on that base timer, or if you need like the extra 120 gold to get a key item spike, whether it's like a completed item, or just like say you have like you're trying to buy a pickaxe and it's a big purchase, maybe that'll be a decent time if you have teleport. Or if you're just already like way stronger than your opponent and like you don't need to base yourself, you could stay for the demolish proc. Or if you actually killed them, I think, and it's near their tower. So those are like the 4 examples that it's okay to stay for your demolish proc. Like, I'm not saying never stay for demolish proc, but chances are if like you guys both trying to set up your bases, you don't want to stay for that demolish proc. It's also really good because if you're playing against like these like proxy style laners like Singed, Scion, and some other ones like Cho'Gath and Volibear can do it. But like it's a matchup where you're hard stomping and their only way to get back into the game is by proxying, because they can at least farm waves and then get tempo on the map themselves. If you overstay for plates and then you set up your own recall, well, they're going to get back into lane, shard the wave as hard as they can, and then they can get into a proxy position. And once they're in that proxy position, it's going to cost way too many resources to get them out of that proxy position, especially without your jungler. Like if they're really weak and you have a strong jungler, maybe your jungler can bail you out of that. But more often than not, like once they're in that proxy position, it's too late to stop them from proxying, because like you missed your base timer. So if you're playing in a Scions and just in like those proxy style, you have to be really disciplined on your base timing or base timers for that. What is it? So I missed don't miss your timer for plates. I mentioned that one. The other one I see a lot of people get baited for is don't miss your timer to help your jungler if you can't afford to. Say like your opponent based, they're coming back to lane, and you are like half HP, low mana, you don't have teleport up. Like, and your jungler's like pinging for an invade or they're pinging for grubs. Ping them off, go get your reset in, because if you don't get your reset in, you take this 50-50 fight, you lose and die. Well, your laner is probably back and shoving the wave. So you're going to miss that, like, those multiple waves. That's the time where he can get a plate. You're going to miss so much. And all that for the chance of a kill. It's not worth it. Maybe if you have teleport, you can go for it if it's like a for sure thing. Or maybe just stand there as you're recalling. But more often than not, focus for yourself, play for yourself, get that reset timer in. And like you can help your jungler when you're back and at full strength. Okay, so my 5th and final tip for you guys is going to be play in 3 blocks. This tip has had the single most correlation to me actually having LP gains through my journey. I am a person, at least when I was in school, like it was like summer, winter break, or like I didn't have any plans on a Sunday, I could play 10-12 hours straight of Overwatch at a top 100 level and be perfectly fine, like fully into there. But it's a game that relies a little bit more on mechanics, so you can autopilot and have your mechanics carry you through it. League is just purely mental. Like, yes, there's some mechanics, but there's like 99% mental. And having that focus for, what's the 3 block? Probably somewhere between like an hour and a half to 2 hours, about, on average. Like, it's really hard to be that mentally focused for that long and not have any autopilot, any mental lapses or anything like that. And so, like, playing in that more concentrated setting is really, really beneficial. If you only have time for 1 or 2 games, that's totally fine too. But if you have time for like 4 or 5, maybe play 3 with high intensity and ranked, maybe go play a game or 2 in norms, or if you have like a second account, you still want that like try hardness of ranked, you can go play on that account where it's like less important, I guess, if you win or lose, at least to you. But you still should be trying on those games. I never recommend to anyone don't try just because you're on a Smurf. It doesn't matter as much. But yeah, that's the biggest thing for me in my LP gains. I have a story just where it was like probably like a month ago now, where I was like plat 1, low amount of LP, plat 1, and I went on like a 4 or 5 day vacation, came back, my mechanics were really rusty, and so like I wasn't playing up to my full strength. My girlfriend got sick while we were on that vacation, and when she came back, she got sick, and so usually when I play my 3-block, I'll go hang out with her the rest of the day, or I hang out with some other friends. Friends were on, she was sick, I didn't want to be in the same room with her, so I did really bad in my 3-blocks, lost all 3, but I'm like, I have nothing else to do, and I decided to keep playing my main account, and lost 5 or 6 games that night. Next night, she was still sick, friends were still busy, did the same thing. Went from plat 1 all the way down to low plat 4 in 2 days because I didn't respect the 3-blocks. Could have just been down 6 games, just 150 LP. So that was on 350 LP, the games are going terribly. And then to get back to that point, I started doing 3-blocks again. Slowly, surely, you climb in anywhere from 25 to 75 LP a day. And eventually got it back. And then once I hit plat 1 again, took me 3 days, I got Emerald. The 3-blocks are really, really helpful. I have heard of a similar strategy, but I don't really like it as much, but I will mention it. It's called best of 3 strategy, where if you win your first 2 games or you lose your first 2 games, you just stop there. Then you only play a 3rd game if you go 1 win and 1 loss, or 1 loss, 1 win, either way. I don't know. That strategy could work for you as well if you're, or you could try that strategy, see if it works better for you, but for me, I just enjoy playing League, and losses don't bother me as much. Or they don't tilt me into my next game or tilt me after I have to get off on that loss. It's okay. So I really enjoy playing that 3-block strategy, and it's, again, really helped me with my LP gains, so I would recommend you guys follow that advice as well. So I wanted to add this slide in just because these are some important things, or a lot of people think they're important, that I didn't decide to cover in this video, just because I think the important tips will snowball into these things and make it way easier. Like CSing. If you know your level 2 timer and you're able to abuse it, your lane opponent doesn't, you get a massive lead because of that level up timer level 2, and you get a kill. Well, now you're just going to be inherently stronger than them for the rest of the lane, most likely. And you can, anytime they walk up for a CS, you can zone them, and you get clean last hits, or you just get to kill them. So you'll get better at just last hitting these free CS as you play more, but I think CSing is an aspect of being the stronger person in lane, knowing how to play out wave states and stuff. So that will come as you know the other fundamentals. Same with team fighting and side laning. It's way easier to side lane versus your opponent if you're up 2 levels on them in the mid to late game. Or it's way easier to team fight if you're just 3 levels higher than anybody else in the lobby because you dominated your lane. You're just a massive wall of stats that they cannot kill, most likely. And so it just makes that way easier than, oh, I'm 3 levels down. Well, you kind of just play respectful at that point and hope your team carries you. So, yeah, also same with mid-late game macro, same thing. If you're just way ahead, it's going to come naturally. And to wrap the video up, I just wanted to go over the key takeaways that you should have from this video. So first tip was to get a small champion pool, build that champ mastery. Champ mastery is so important in this game. I know I've mentioned that actually in the initial recording. That champion pool of 2 to 3 does not have to stay the same size or the same 2 to 3 champs your entire league journey. You can rotate them out a little bit based on meta or what you're feeling, but yeah, have that small champ pool, build that champ mastery. It's so important to have that champ mastery. My second key takeaway is master your first 4 waves and your level up timers. Those kind of go hand in hand, so I put them together here. Just have a game plan for those first 4 waves. Learn how to execute on that. Know your level up timers. Don't disrespect your opponent's level up timers, and make sure to punish them if they disrespect your level up timers. Third key takeaway: don't miss your base timings. Base timings are so important. And if you miss your base timings, you're just gonna be landlocked. You're gonna get punished, or if they don't punish you, you can't extend your lead because you're already at a disadvantage. So don't miss your base timings. Don't let your junglers make you miss your base timings as well. Same with plates. Just get your base timings in. And third and final key takeaway: play in 3 blocks. I think that is the most efficient way to climb in terms of how well you can your mental stack and your mental stamina can last. Play in those 3 blocks of 3 high intensity games, regardless of how they go. Stop there. Okay, that's gonna wrap the video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you learned anything, or if you have any feedback, whether good, bad, any tips you may disagree with, or maybe some tips that I didn't mention here. I'd love to hear your feedback down in the comments below. Or if you just want me to expand on any of these ideas, maybe give some video breakdowns of them, help you guys learn them at a deeper level. Let me know which ones, or just if you want to learn all of them, that'd be great. Happily make those videos for you guys, so just let me know down in the comments below. And have an awesome rest of your day. Peace.